It's time for the True Sports Card Show, the only 1 hour radio show that gives you the very latest in sports memorabilia news from around the world. Here are your hosts, industry expert Imran Pilati and Sacktown Sports 49ers insider Emil Fragoso.
Good Saturday morning to you. Just making sure I'm good to go. Good morning, everybody. It's Emran over at True Sports Cards. I'm here live Saturday morning, July 20th from the Sacktown Sports 1140 studios. Make sure that we're working correctly. Nate, we good? Okay, Nate says we're good behind the window. Good morning. It's just me solo, but I do have a guest that's going to be joining us. He's waiting patiently in the waiting room for those of you on YouTube. Today, we're starting off just to let you know we are at the collected card show that's happening in Santa Clara. My team, Donovan and Jake, are there. They're buying cards right now, getting inventory ready for our shop. So if you have the ability to go down to Santa Clara, go to the collected card show, visit Donovan and Jake and let them know what you have for sale. We are buying cards as usual. We are 1 week away from the National. And I have a great guest today. It's his third time on the show. I saw him on Tuesday when I flew down there. I'm here with Rob Veras, a.k.a. the CardFather, the owner of the Burbank shop, the card shop, as well as the Burbank Card Show. Rob, good morning. How are you?
Doing fine. How you doing, brother?
Great. It's good to see you again. If you are tuning in via YouTube, Rob is sitting behind or in front of, let's see, let me just count this real quick. 18,000 boxes of cards behind you. What is that pile behind you?
It's just a deal that we bought, and everything comes through me. So my office is a disaster at basically any given time. I don't know. I could clean it up, but then it would just be a mess the next day. So I'm just like, it's not. Unless it's on a national channel, then I'm like, I should have probably cleaned that up a little.
That's okay. That's all right. We'll be national soon enough. We flew down, myself, Pete, and Owen. We flew down to kind of get a little bit of behind the curtain with your process of online sales, your e-commerce sales. Just real quick, as a reminder to everybody, Burbank Cards on eBay. How many total listings do you have out at the moment, roughly?
We got about 2.3 million different listings that represent about 40 million cards total with quantities. It's insane over at the warehouse.
I didn't realize how many people you had working at any given time in the warehouse. There were people milling all over the place, people packing, people pulling. What an operation. And that's just one side of your business. We talked about this as well when we were in person. We said that, 5-10 years ago, how much was e-commerce versus what walked into the store? And you were like, it was 90% at one time, e-commerce versus the store, but now it's kind of evening out. Where's it at roughly now?
It's probably about, probably 50-50, maybe a 60-40 somewhere in there. But we had a really nice retail store decades ago. And when online became a big thing, and then we were able to acquire a database, it just really changed everything with where our cards were going sales-wise. And we veered hard towards e-commerce and kind of let the shop slide a little bit because I just couldn't do both to scale. And then my son came on board, Ryan, and then all of a sudden we were able to do both at that level. So, really enjoy the retail. So, it's a lot of work.
Okay, so every morning, or it seems like every morning, I think it's one of those things where when it's consistent, it feels like it's an every morning thing. But you'll do a video. Well, good morning to you. It's the CardFather here coming to you live from the Burbank Card Shop. There's a purpose behind each one of those. It's almost like you have a moral of the story or a uplifting comment of the day, or maybe just some insight in that. Where did that start and how does that affect you on a daily basis? Is it something you prepare for or you just do it?
Just do it. During COVID, when everything was shut down, the store was dark, I kind of needed an outlet, to be honest with you. And I've done seminars for years on the hobby. I've written at length for different periodicals, and I just kind of needed something to talk about. And we had pretty much like 100 followers in like March of 2020. I'm an old school Facebook guy. And then somebody said, hey, you can just push record and you could do this on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like so much fun. And we religiously did it 5-6 times a week and built an audience that way. And there were a lot of new people that had just entered the hobby. And if I was able to educate them in some sort of fashion, we gained a following and became the CardFather, and been trying to dole out advice, what's on at the shop, and just industry at large. And it's been great. And I still try to do it 2 or 3 times a week. And it's about 10 minutes, and a lot of people tune in. So it's a lot of fun.
So let's talk about some exciting things that are happening. We've got 3 shows, one that you're putting on, as well as a new location. Let's go through the order. Let's start with this. I came to your shop the other day, and I pride myself in singles. Again, I'm telling you that you were an inspiration for me when I first opened my shop 3 years ago, and came to visit you. You were so inviting. You're like, I don't know who this kid is, but let's take him back here. And you showed me the idea of micro sales, the value in being able to put together small under $10 transactions and what that can lead into your business. I think so many times that when you, myself, Ryan, Pete, we go to a show, we're wheeling and dealing with $100 cards, $200 cards, $500 cards, thousands of dollars of cards. But we forget that the average consumer is that minus $50 purchase, per card. And I didn't forget that based on you hammering into my head, say, Amron, listen, the person that's going to be your long-term business, if you plan on being here a long time, it's making those relationships happen at every price point. I looked at when we came the other day, and you gave us the tour of not only the warehouse, but you also gave us a tour of the main showroom. We walked in right as you guys were opening. So we had a lot of the cases full. You took us to the warehouse. We did a tour for about an hour. We came back, and literally the cases were about 1/2 full of what we walked into. We're gone for an hour and a half. This is a really, really tough thing to do, which is to supply singles at a high level, at the mass levels that they exit your store. I'm experiencing that on a smaller level, but I certainly do that too. Rob, talk about that grind, getting those new inventory singles in, and what a challenge that is. So that way, when a customer comes in and they have such great selection, I get customers that try to hammer me on price. Well, can you give me a 60% or 70%? I'm like, what do you think I'm buying these things for? In order to give you these, and of course, I'm not asking you to unveil what you pay for it, but what I'm saying to you is just share with them the grind that comes in getting these inventory into the showcases.
Oh, it's certainly a grind. It's brutal. Like I was just showing, these are slabs that came in end of day yesterday. They're on my desk right now. I'm getting them into bags before we even started talking. These cards will be priced probably before 1 o'clock and go into the showcases. So these might have been bought at 5 o'clock yesterday. I'm getting them bagged and prepped. The guys will be getting them priced, and they're going to go into the showcases. That's how quick we want to have a turnaround. And people know that every single day they can count on fresh inventory. And the power of Instagram is I can shoot a video that these cards are in the showcases by 11 a.m. and people lose their minds because they see that one card and that'll drive them into the store. And then when they come in the store, they see everything else that's new. People ask 2 questions when they come into a card shop. Do you buy, and what's new? I think those are the 2 biggest questions that we get. And if we could take care of the buying, with people come in and they literally put their name into a kiosk, and then we call them when it's their turn, and they can see it's about a 10-minute wait. Whatever the wait happens to be, that stuff comes in, and it's immediately we start dealing with that stuff. Whether it's lower end stuff that goes out to our warehouse to get processed, or it's this box as well, which is all premium singles.
For those of you on the radio listening, Rob's holding triple shoe boxes. Remember, Rob, we're on the radio, man. It's not just a podcast on YouTube. We're on the radio. So Rob was holding a big triple shoe of slabs and top loaded cards. So go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll purge out the better stuff like right away, and those cards will get priced. We're trying to buy things one day and get them in the cases the next day. What we've built is something really unique, we feel, is we have two showcases, and they're called sneak preview showcases. And about 250, 300 cards go in them per day, half raw, half graded. And literally, they only last in the shop for a day. Then they're pulled and they go online. And then the next day, again, rinse and repeat. So we give everybody in the shop a day to shop these cards. Then they go online for our digital customers. And when they come back, we have Monday through Friday showcases. So, for example, on Monday, I'm going to pull out all the cards that were there during the weekend. I'm going to put in a fresh batch into the raw and graded. They will last all day Monday, get pulled Tuesday, and then what's going to happen is those cards that didn't sell for Monday will go into a Monday new arrival showcase. So literally, there's 7 showcases in that system, whether it's the sneak previews that last a day or they go into the representative day through the week. Once they're there for the week, they get pulled and they go alphabetically into our showcases. So people just know the flow. If they haven't been here for 3 days, they might know that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those are cards they haven't seen, plus the sneak preview nobody had seen. So it's a lot of work to maintain that, but our customers want to see fresh merch. They don't want to go to the same shop, the same inventory, and they've wasted 45 minutes to get there, wasted 45 minutes at the shop, and wasted 45 minutes to go home. Time is too valuable, so we want to make sure that there is brand new stuff all the time.
And I think that's the biggest challenge that you face, because all card shops with some sort of distribution or, some sort of a third party distributor can have the wax. It's whether or not you have that sexy single that person's looking for their personal collection. Is it available in the shop? And the fact that you guys had cleared out half of the new showcase inventory in the hour that we were physically off site, it's incredible. All right. So we're going to talk about shows here in a little bit, including the national, which is next week. But you have a big thing that you announced last week in regards to location change. Talk to us about that.
You're talking about the Anaheim location?
I'm talking about that one that's down the street across from that delicious bakery that
we're going back to the card shop. We're away from the card shop. Yeah,
let's stay at the card shop for a second, because we're talking about the inventory at your card shop. Now we're talking about an actual new card shop. So.
Yeah, it's wild. I can't believe I actually signed off on it. We were looking to move. Right now, we got about 4,000 feet in the retail store. We were looking to maybe bump it up to 7,000, 8,000 feet. But then this Rite Aid became available. And if you know Rite Aid and CVS and Walgreens, they're about 15,000 feet on average. And I would have never considered this a couple of years back, but all of a sudden I'm in the position where I actually considered it. The fact that it's on one of the best intersections in the city was absolutely huge. And it's across from Porto's Bakery, which might be the single most popular retail store in the city of Burbank.
I went. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
It's ridiculous. And so it has 70 parking spots. It's just something that I can't believe that we actually considered it. And then I just said, hell with it. Talked to my father, talked to my son, and said, let's sign off on this. Let's do it. And so it's being gutted right now. It's 14,300 feet. And everything's going to get bigger. But the cool part is a big chunk of the warehouse, which has always been separate from the retail store, is coming over as well.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to have kiosks set up in the store where, let's just say you walk in and you're looking for, any random San Francisco 49er, pick a player, George Kittle. And I might not have a premium George Kittle card in the showcase, and I certainly don't have a George Kittle section in the store. All of a sudden, you go to the kiosk, you type in George Kittle, we might have 200 different George Kittle cards in our database online that are scanned. So all of a sudden, you can click on the 13 different George Kittles that you're looking for, you pay for it, and guess what? They're pulled in a couple of minutes, and you walk out satisfied, which I think is kind of unique in the industry. So we're looking to bring 10 to 15 million cards over from our warehouse. And then what we're also building, which is mental, is a quarter section that'll be by year, by sport. So it'll start from the 70s. And so we'll have a 78 baseball box where you'll be able to grab it off the shelf, sit at a picnic table, go through them at 25 cents each. We'll have that from the 70s all the way till 2024. And the newer cards will be no base cards. It'll be rookies, inserts, and parallels. So the most popular tables at the shows, and you know this from experience, are the shows that you can put your hands on cards.
Absolutely. That are clearly priced.
That are clearly priced. So this section will hold at least 1 million cards, at least 300 triple shoes or 4 rows will be in this section. So if you want to look at 2018-19 basketball, there might be 12 boxes of it. And you'll grab it, you'll put it down. And if you're looking for rookies, I mean, you'll lose yourself and then hours will go by. And then we're building a star system as well, which will be at least 250,000 cards, where you want to look at a Buster Posey box, grab it, put it down. Everything's $1. Mike Trout, it'll be all the biggest names. And I think that, you know, to me, am I going to get rich off? No, not. Quarter cards are not going to pay the mortgage on that building, but will it draw people from everywhere? Yes. Will they buy other things? Yes. And most importantly, we'll say yes to people that walk in looking for almost anything. We're building a physical database basically in the store. So if you're looking for something, we want to be able to have you grab it, put it on a table, sit down, put the AirPods in, and lose yourself.
If you have a question for Rob, feel free to call in at 916-339-1140 to call in. Nate will pick up your call. We can have you ask Rob live a question on air. Here's another thing, Rob. I had a speaker that I watched. I was at a real estate conference, and he started talking about, the story's well known. He started with a red paper clip, and he was trading and trading and trading and trading. And eventually over years, it turned into actually where he was able to trade up to a house. He got a house out of this red paper clip. Yeah. And the way that you just described being able to sit down, buy a Mike Trout card for $1, a lot of times that Mike Trout card will be worth $3, maybe even $4 in some cases. But you're saying great opportunity for you as a collector to come in and pick up something of value at a price less than what it quote unquote comps for. Right. And then you can make that trade, or you can maybe make that reseller, maybe go on Facebook and sell it. This is an opportunity for you as a customer to be able to come in, buy something at a slightly lower price than what it's worth, and maybe even trade your way up into a higher price point that you don't normally play in. I know for a fact, Rob, me personally at shows selling cards, I was shocked whenever I had a card that was over $200 that was for sale. And now it's like we have a table and all the cards are over $100, and I'm sitting there going, it's not really my core of what I would want for the long-term customer, but this is kind of what has to sell at a show in order for the financials to make sense. When a table's $200, God forbid the national, when the table is, $2,000, God forbid the Fanatics Fest, which I bought a table at, which is $3,000 plus for that table. I mean, you can't sit there with dollar cards on your table in order to make it make sense for you. So let's shift over into the card show aspect of things. There's 3 card shows coming up, and we'll talk about the grand finale, which is going to be yours. We'll go in chronological order. So next week, myself and Pete, we're headed to the National. I'll be leaving on Thursday. I'll be coming back on Sunday. Rob, you go to the National every year. You've been going forever, but you're not necessarily set up. But this time, are you set up? I can't recall.
I haven't set up in years. Yeah.
Reason for the biggest card shop on the West Coast, if not the nation. Why is it, Rob, that you don't set up? What's your philosophy when you go?
I don't know how to condense what we own into a 6-foot or an 8-foot table. It doesn't make sense. I think for a lot of people that set up at the shows, they don't have shops. And if you walk around the floor of the National, or most any other show for that matter, I mean, at your show, I mean, how many of the people that set up actually own card shops? And it's a small percentage. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes for us as well, that we're there to buy. Literally, we would go to shows and buy pallets. We would buy people out, bring it back, get it through our systems, and get it online. And plus, you're kind of stuck at the table as well, whereas you'd rather kind of go along. So Basically,
Are you more on the corporate side at this point in your career where you're meeting and shaking hands and doing the corporate thing? Because that's kind of where I'm at right now.
yeah, most definitely. I'm there for the social more than anything else anymore. And I'm there for the meetings, the fanatics meetings, the dinners that take place. You need to put your face in front of people that might make the decisions that impact your business. And everybody's at the national. So it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Like
Mm.
everybody is there and you can knock things out quickly. And even if you don't have meetings, the ability to walk around and meet up with people from Panini that you didn't have a meeting with them, but there they are, and you've known them, possibly for decades. So the National is just a great opportunity once a year to just see everybody because everything is so fractured across the industry that not everybody is there. So the National is that one opportunity. To be honest with you, I didn't want to go because I have so much going on.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Cleveland, nothing against Clevelanders, but it wouldn't be my first or 17th choice of a city to go to.
Is it ahead of Atlantic City?
I
You
don't
have
know.
to think about that? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I do,
The answer
because
is yes, for sure.
Cleveland's
I
one
did
of the
not
most-
enjoy Atlantic City.
Cleveland's one of the most dangerous cities in the country, and
Yeah.
at least with Atlantic City, the hotels are next to the convention center.
True.
Which makes a big difference because you got to get in a car to go anywhere because nothing is around the IX Center. So they both have their minuses, but I think I don't know. They're both pretty bad in my opinion. It's like you shouldn't drag the whole industry to someplace that really nobody wants to go to.
True.
In my opinion.
True. And one of the largest, they could have done the Las Vegas Convention Center. They could have done, the Mandalay Bay or something like that in Vegas, because there's always a direct flight, usually from almost all locations into Vegas, as well as maybe the San Antonio. San Antonio has one of the largest convention centers in the world. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of options, but, ultimately not something that you can control. Right after the National, by the way, the National, I like to go for PC. I collect specific things. My collection involves my memories with my father collecting. He passed away when I was very young. So, the memory of collecting 87 Topps. So one of my PCs is 87 Topps autographed cards that have now been slabbed and graded by PSA DNA. 86 Fleer, the Jordan rookie year, that stuff signed. Anybody can collect, just the regular sets. But I like to have the signed versions of them because they all have their unique little situations. Like Dick Hauser in 1987 Topps was only alive for a month and a half before he passed away from the release of the card. So there's only like 3 that I know of in existence. So I'm always going to be on the hunt for that for the rest of my life, that kind of thing. So let's talk about the show that's directly after that precedes yours. So then Pete and I will be set up at the Fanatics Fest in New York. First that they've ever done. Michael Rubin, CEO of Fanatics, I know has a great you two have a great relationship. One of the most famous 2023 clips of the year. I think it was 23 when that Devin Booker clip came out. Was that 23 or 24? That was last year?
It was 23, yeah.
23. So to preface what it was, a young lady who shops at Burbank Card Shop came in, talked about how excited she was about collecting Devin Booker cards. It's his favorite player. It's her favorite player. And Michael Rubin was in your shop for whatever reason. You guys had some sort of a connection there to have him there as a guest. And he FaceTimes Devin Booker and instantly shows the young girl this. And she starts crying. She's bawling. She couldn't even talk. That moment tells me that Michael Rubin has a different mindset of what this industry is about. And now he's putting together this Fanatics Fest, this fan fest that's being held in New York. And I just keep seeing the names that they're offering as these autograph guests. And I'm talking about the top of the top. So Rob, tell me what you know about the Fanatics Fest. I'm sure you're going to be there. Let's go for it.
Yeah, it's something that kind of came about and surprised everybody basically. And I think the clips of Michael Rubin on the national floor walking around and a lot of his comments weren't positive, that this was the showcase of the industry and the best that we could do. And it seemed so antiquated compared to events, especially like a Comic-Con, which I think that he was kind of looking at that as an example and then wanting to build something around sports that was similar. And They hired the best of the best. Lance and Mike, I got to know them. Lance basically ran the New York Comic-Con out of the Javits Center, which is where this is taking place. And he has a lot of experience in putting on large shows. They actually hired EJ, one of my partners for the Burbank Card Show. They hired him as like a dealer representative, where he was going to kind of be the liaison, if you will, between Fanatics and the dealers. And they're putting together something in New York City. And I can't remember an event ever in the heart of New York City for a card show. It's really expensive to put it on there. It's also expensive to get there, stay there, and get around there. But they're very confident that they're going to pull this off. And I'm curious to see what happens, because I know a first show right in the middle of the national and our show, I don't know, because people are going to be picking and choosing. Not everybody can afford to go to all three, especially when they're all in different parts of the country. I wish them the best. I think it's great for the hobby that they're putting this on. And if they succeed and they bring this around the country and they keep getting more and more athletes like they want to do, they want to grow the pie. And I think this is their first step in really taking an event and trying to take that sports fan and turn them into sports card collectors. And I don't think there's any event that can do that quite like the Fanatics Fest that's coming up.
Will you be there?
Yes, I will be there. Again, it's not the best of timing for me. It's a week before my card show.
Right.
I'm in moving hell, basically, at that point, trying to get everything together. But it's an event I need to be at, and I just want to see what they can put together and be a part of that.
Fanatics Fest, that's going to be August 16 through 18 in New York City at the Javits Center. That leads to the most important show on the West Coast, if not the nation. Exactly. That is the Burbank Card Show.
Okay.
And it is August 22nd through the 25th. It's we are going to be set up there as a team. I personally, Beckett's birthday is August 22nd. It's his second birthday. So my wife and I are driving down there with Beckett. We're driving down there on his birthday. So we'll be staying there. We're going to go to Disneyland on the 23rd. 24th kind of putts around Anaheim. And then I'm going to finish up with my guys on the 25th. I promised my wife we'll go down there, and I promise not to spend too much time at the show, but my team will be there. We'll be buying, we'll be selling, we'll be set up. Rob, talk to us about, this is now your third version of your show. This is the Burbank Card Show. You've been moving it to larger and larger locations. I believe the last one was at the Ontario Convention Center. Maybe I'm wrong, but this one, give us the details on this incredible show.
Well, I think the advantage that we have at the Burbank Card Show is the location. The fact that you want to bring your family to this show. I'm guessing you're not bringing your family to Cleveland.
You better believe I'm not.
So I hashtag Cardcation because it's truly an event where the whole family wants to go. And I think that's what really makes us unique in this is Disneyland's literally across the street from us. And so many people can tack on a couple of days before or after. So I think the location is a big part of it. It's kind of funny. The origin story for the card show was Jay, my partner, ran the premier card show, and he'd have these shows in different hotel ballrooms. And I kind of talked to him. I'm like, there's nothing up in LA for a card show. And I was wondering if we want to work together and putting something on, but it was real humble. I was looking at Moose Lodges and Elks Lodges because this is our first show. And I'm like, right. I don't know who's going to show up. And he gets the Marriott Convention Center in Burbank, which in this area is the biggest and nicest place. And it was expensive. I'm scared to death. Who's going to show up? Who's going to buy a table? And yeah, that wasn't really a concern when it was all said and done. And then we just kept looking for locations, and Ontario popped up, and it's a beautiful facility, and it's 5 minutes from an international airport, and there's cheap hotels everywhere. So we took it there, and we were real happy with that. And just out of curiosity, we just got a hold of Anaheim, not thinking we'd be ready for it right away, but just to kind of get an idea, what's it going to cost? And it was booked, but they got back to us and said, we have an opening if you want this weekend. And went down there and toured it. And I'm like, this place is amazing. And we signed the contract, and it worked out. And so we're coming back to Anaheim for a second time. And yeah, it's just, people love the location because of what there is around it.
Size of the card show floor, how many tables?
I believe there's like close to 700. It's about It's about 100,000 square foot space, bright, carpeted, beautiful. There's a balcony that wraps around the outside that overlooks Disneyland. And yeah, this is the size. We're going back to Ontario in February, and what we're doing that next August is still up in the air, where there's things kind of going on where we don't know a year from now exactly what we'll be doing.
So you're consistently putting out 2 shows a year is kind of what your target is moving forward. Any more than that in the future plans? More than 2 a year?
3's been talked about. 4 months apart, I think, is good spacing. It's just a lot of work, and you have to work it around other shows out there and kind of be cognizant that there's other events going on and you don't want to step on toes. The first show was just a huge fail on my part because my good friend Mike Fruitman runs a good sized show in Denver. It was the same weekend. The East Coast National was the same weekend. Didn't know that, didn't think about thinking about it. We just did it. And then all of a sudden my good friend Mike's like, dude, I'm like,
yeah,
dude, I'm just like, I had no idea. I've never run a show. I don't know when shows are happening. So you got to be cognizant of that as well, where you try not to overlap.
So it's interesting because when I was booking our 2025 show, I got the dates together. You don't even have a real date yet on your August 2025 show yet, right? But you do know it's going to be the latter part of that month, correct?
I'm thinking it's going to be, but we might want to go ahead of the National. So
yep,
we're talking about different things and timings of what we'll be doing. But you know this as good as anybody. You don't pick the dates for your shows.
The date tells you what's available.
Picks the dates. And with Anaheim, there really was only one weekend that was available. And when we tried it last year, there was no weekend available. So
the show that we just finished in May that we did, the Sacramento Autograph Expo, we had a show, about 100 tables, 50 different dealers representing, and we had a waiting list of over 100 dealers just waiting, saying, is anybody falling out? We had a bunch of people reach out to us. And strangely enough, we didn't have a lot of the same dealers that you deal with. Southern California, largest show. People thought nothing of my show. It was my third version of it, but I brought Ricky Henderson, Dennis Rodman, Johnny Manziel. I mean, the autograph line was stellar, let alone letting it be in the Sacramento area. So I thought, all right, I've got this opportunity. There's a date in September of 2025 for the Sacramento Autograph Expo. The venue now is going to hold 500 plus tables at it. Okay. And the first person I called, even before my wife, I called Rob and I said, hey, Rob, this is the date that I got. Does it conflict with you? Right. And you were like, nope, we're going to be targeting that August or maybe even before that, but we will not be touching that September time. And I said, done. I called the venue. I said, I'll take the venue. And then I told my wife, hey, guess what I did? And Jessica's like, when were you going to tell me this? I said, right after I called Rob, because it's all about talking to other promoters, dealers, and understanding how that works to make sure that you don't fall under that trap. And I'm going to push people to go to Burbank, and I want Burbank to push people to the Sacramento Autograph Expo, because there are very, very lucrative opportunities at dealers for these wonderful shows that are put together with class, with expertise, with smartness behind it. And we had a show that was run here not too long ago. There was another card show here in the area. It was poorly attended, poorly ran. And I don't mind saying that out loud because I'm just repeating what people said. But, you know, that's one thing that I hang my hat on, is making sure that it's a first-class event with first-class people, first-class opportunity, and first-class experience. And I know you do the same thing. Rob, I got a question that came through. Oh, were you going to say something? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I think that the difference with our show is it's dealer-centric. We really don't have an autograph pavilion. We really don't even have autograph guests. We don't actually go out and look for them, which I think makes us different. And it's got pluses and minuses, obviously. The pluses to me is I feel the money stays with the dealers on the floor, and it keeps people from waiting in lines for the autograph guests, and they're off the floor. The minuses, obviously, is these guests for you drive a lot of people that might not have ever gone to a card show before, but geez, the opportunity to meet Ricky Henderson is absolutely huge. Yeah. So there's kind of two trains of thought with that. And we have, not to my knowledge anyways, any autograph guests for the Anaheim show. which I think makes it different than any other national show out there. So that's the difference.
And another thing, kind of pulling back the curtain for the audience, most transactions with athletes and their agents end up being one of two ways. Either you pay the athlete per piece that they sign, or you pay them for the time. And you'll see you'll know when you go to an autograph show which one is which, because you could see that their agent is like, or the promoter's like, okay, thanks for signing. Move it along quickly, right? And so you're paying upwards of $250, $300 for a premium item to be signed by one of these absolute legends, and they're rushing you through, and you got 10 seconds to talk to them. And I try my best to not have those types of events, because I want the experience. If somebody's going to take their hard-earned money and meet their hero, you want it to be a great experience. So we're going to continue to try those. Rob, I took a question here in the chat. It says here, this is from Peg Junk. That's the name, Peg Junk. So with Fanatics acquiring PWCC, along with getting most of the sports licenses, what do you think the hobby's landscape might look like in the next few years?
Interesting that you talk about that. Fanatics acquiring PWCC, I think they're trying to put an alternative to eBay together. I think that they might look at eBay as maybe a bit antiquated, like they looked at the National. And I think in their minds, they can come up with a better platform for buying and selling cards. They've already made the announcement that Fanatics Collect is going online really soon. And I'm excited to see what they can do with that. If there's modern technology that could be attached to the buying and selling process at scale that maybe we don't have at this time. Fanatics, Michael Rubin just simply bought the industry. I don't think there's any other way.
In the middle of the night, it almost felt like.
Yeah, I think the only thing that they haven't touched is grading. I think that basically every other aspect of the business they're doing, whether it's selling directly to the customer. You just have to know that their shop's coming at some point, just a matter of when. And with the licenses, we're all going to be beholden to Fanatics in one way, shape, or form. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think what they're doing is going to grow the pie. I think that they can put eyeballs in our industry in a way that no other company could. And I think that if the pie grows, we are all going to get a bigger slice, and we're going to get a lot more sports fans into our ecosystem. So I think the next couple of years are going to look entirely different, whether it's with their shows, whether it's with their new licenses, basketball and football, whether it's, the kind of products they're producing, and especially the kind of athlete interaction and celebrity interaction I think that we're going to see with our industry will be, mind-blowing. And I'm excited to see it as a store owner.
We have a phone call that came in. Is that Whitey on hold? So the person that's going to be joining us right now, Rob, is Whitey Gleason. He is the Drive Guys host, legendary host here, and he's now on the radio. He has a question regarding Topps Chrome. Rob, he may ask you. You can always ask me. I don't know why he would do it on the air. Whitey, welcome to be a guest on a radio station instead of being the host.
Thank you.
What's going on?
Thanks. Yeah, I just had a couple questions about. I know it's a big Topps Chrome week, and I had two questions. One, I have a friend who buys a lot of retail. His name is Schmitey Schmeeson, and he's wondering why it looks like at retail the Topps Chrome, like the Blasters, it's a little more expensive this year. And then so I wanted to see if you guys had any idea why, and then also, if you can explain the buyback program and whether Emma, are you a participant in that? I've never actually participated in it. How does that work?
Sure. We'll start with the other. Rob, first of all, we're talking legend to legend here. Whitey Gleason and Rob Veras. I mean, I just feel like the medium in between this incredible connection. Rob, why don't you share a little bit regarding the retail versus hobby aspect? Whitey, I always make fun of. They often have me on the Drive Guys on Friday afternoons to talk sports cards. And Whitey's an active collector, has been for years. He's a 70s collector at this point. He's very old, but
yes,
both in collecting and as a human. And he got Babe Ruth to sign the card. And so what I was getting at though is that Whitey had always bought retail, always buying blasters. I was like, dude, stop buying that stuff because you're not going to get what you really want. But he's like, I'm doing it for the enjoyment of it. Rob, you carry both. You carry hobby as well as retail product in your store. What are your pros and cons in the Topps Chrome aspect of retail versus hobby?
I'm going to actually pass this back to you because, to be honest, I don't really do much with the product that's out in the store. This is more of my retail staff, Ryan, my son, who runs it. So let me deflect that back over to you because I don't have the day-to-day knowledge on what's going on with
Why do y'all go quick with this just for informing the customer? So there are new things happening with the Topps Chrome product this year. They're doing something called Helix, which you're able to, it's like a one-on-one color blast parallel, similar to what Panini has. It's called Helix. They have other types of things that are specific to different SKUs. So in the Breaker's Delight, which is 2 autographs per, they're now including Sandy Koufax. They're including Ken Griffey Jr. They're including, weirdly enough, Chase Utley. So they only have these veteran, really unique veteran autographs that have never been put in before. That's specifically the Breaker's Delight. In the blasters, they have a completely different parallel that's in there now. Hobby has a completely different parallel. I will tell you that in the sense of buying this, it's worth it to buy all the product SKUs from Topps Chrome because, as you mentioned, there's a buyback program. Now, the buyback program works in this way. So if you have the general card that is an MVP candidate, somebody that you have, when the Major League Baseball announces the MVP for each league, you could take that card and bring it into your local card shop that's participating. We are, Rob, I'm guessing that you are as well. Yep, Rob is as well. So you bring in that card, a base card, which would normally be $1, maybe a little bit less, now gives you $20 of trade value for you to use in the store in any way. And the way that us as card shops, when we collect it, we collect all these cards and then we submit them back for reimbursement. So we're not making money off of it. So $20 in store credit ends up being $20 back to us. And then the parallels, refractors will give you $40. And then numbered ones, refractors give you all the way up to $200 value. So you can imagine last year with Ohtani and Acuna, people were excited to collect all versions of their cards because you were able to do that. Now that was on your base model. So not any inserts or anything like that.
Right.
So,
wow.
So feel free to continue buying the blasters because if you end up with, who would you say, Rob, is the lead? Rob, who would you say is leading in the MVP candidacy in both leagues?
It's got to be Judge and Ohtani.
That's where I'm at too. Judge and Ohtani. Yeah. So when you're buying into breaks, see if the breaker is going to be sending all cards to ship, not just hits, because you want Ohtani. Excuse me, you want Judge and Ohtani's
cool. But that's just the Topps Chrome, right?
Correct.
So flagship, it just doesn't apply.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
Awesome. All right.
Hey, will you have me on my show soon? Well, can I be on your show soon?
Yeah, you missed 2 weeks in a row. We're starting to wonder what's going on.
Yeah, well, and I'll be at the National this time, so I'll have to stream in.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to it.
You're the best,
Thanks
Whitey.
very much
Thanks.
for the info. Yeah, take care.
And there you have it, the Hall of Famer Whitey Gleason, taking questions. All right, so Rob, let's finish this out so that way I can get you back to sorting cards. I flew in the other day. I went there. I stuck my head around the corner, and Rob was sorting 1970. What was it? 72, 73.
Yeah, we had a random box of like 70 to 73 baseball come in, and maybe someone else should be doing it. But I think that you can relate to this. I enjoy doing it. It's going to get done faster. It's something in the middle of the day where I can break up everything else that I'm doing, and every card fires a memory. And that you'll relate to this too, especially the story you told with the mid 80s cards. I'm a little older than you, and it's just, I love cards. I'm the biggest card dork in the world, and I should delegate more, but I just enjoy it so much. But yeah, you caught me.
But isn't that great that's literally what you do every day? People see the success level. They see you on YouTube. They see you on Instagram. But at your core, you're the guy that's thumbing through cards and sorting through it because you love doing it. You love doing it, And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's who I want the industry to talk to. That's who I want the Michael Rubins of the world to speak to, because you're literally on the grind. You're not worried about running around there with content and what my hair out of place. I need to get my teeth whitened. You're just like, I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to do cards. I love it. And you're going to feel my passion, and you're going to make sure that the customers feel that too. I try my best to do that too. I'm a father of a 2-year-old. I'm running around trying to run multiple businesses. I just got in from Kansas last night, really late. Believe it or not, I made it back on American Airlines last night, out of this whole, like, the global meltdown of everything. I was able to get on my plane. I'm still tired. I'm on Kansas time, but I'm back in the grind. I'm going to be at the card shop here as soon as we're done here. I got to make a phone call to a couple people that I got to set some appointments with. I'm in the grind too. I understand it. And sometimes people look at the finished product and go, wow, look at you with your humongous warehouse with 44 million cards. And it's like, you wouldn't even know what it takes to get there. And I can just see it because I've peeked in with you enough times. Rob, let's leave you with this because I know you're very busy. You have some assistants now. There are people that are helping you with some of the large projects that you need to get out there into the world. You hired a social media / marketing manager, and you also hired a brand ambassador that you announced on Instagram not too long ago, as in like the last 24, 48 hours. Why don't you talk about what your purpose is for these hires and what you're looking to do in the world out there?
First, I want to say something regarding the collecting, the grind, the passion, is that there's an 80% silent majority out there and a 20% vocal minority out there. You see the flashy, you see the influencers, the grading, the breaking, all of that. But the majority of the people that are actually in this hobby collect cards, are the ones on eBay spending $15, getting their bubble mailer and getting super pumped about it. So I always like to say that because people forget that, but we're living proof. If you were in my warehouse all day and you saw the orders and the types of cards, your mind would be blown because it isn't all about the latest Otani gold, whatever, to so many people. So I like to get that point across first. The marketing, the director, we brought on Daniel. He's an Emmy nominated producer, and he's going to be able to create content that, I'm not capable of. My idea of content is putting an iPhone in my face and just starting to ramble. And that's built a great audience, but we need to do something better. We actually have a sizzle reel. We're actually shopping with an agent, a series. And I want to take content to a level that's just different than anything else you see. And he's been tremendous. And then the brand ambassador, I can't be the face constantly of our business. It needs to get younger. And when I was thinking about different people that I'd like to do it with, I kept coming back to Jay from Mojo. He's the guy with the passion. He's a Sacktown guy up there. Kids love him. Kids come in all the time. Is Mojo going to be in today? And I thought about this and I'm like, I need someone else to represent our brand, going out into the world and doing things. But more importantly, with the new store, we're going to be very event driven. Whether it's out in the parking lot, whether it's in the store, we're going to think about doing things we haven't thought of doing yet. And I want him to, along with myself, get that messaging out. And I think there's a lot of people out there that have huge personalities, big followings, and do things the right way. But Jay is the one I really wanted to go with.
Congratulations on both of those additions. For them to find you on Instagram and find you online, how do they get a hold of you, Rob?
On Instagram at Burbank Cards. Online, we have a YouTube channel under Burbank Sports Cards. Our eBay store, you can find it just Burbank Sports Cards, eBay. TikTok, I think we have one. I have no idea how that works. I'm still learning that.
You don't need to know anymore. Daniel's going to handle that for you. All you have to do is just show up. You just be the Tom Cruise of the Mission Impossible series. Just go, where do I stand? What camera am I facing? They'll handle the rest of it for you.
He actually just set up the camera on my screen here on my desktop. I've never had one.
I know you're not in the vertical position of on your phone. He said to me, because I got to meet him on Tuesday when we came down, he goes, don't worry, Imran, we'll have him correctly positioned with the camera. Don't you worry about that. And so I said, I don't have to worry about it. Just make sure Rob doesn't have to worry about it. Rob, you're incredible. It's great to see you. I look forward to seeing you at the National in a couple next weeks or so sometime. Have a great time. And thanks again for joining us. You're the best.
Thanks for having me. That was a blast.
You're welcome. All right, that's Rob Veras, aka the CardFather, owner of the Burbank Card Shop, as well as the Burbank Sports Card Show. Incredible event that's going to be happening. We love having Rob there. All right, let's talk a little bit about the products that came out this week. We had Topps Chrome, 24 Topps Chrome come through. 150 players had signed autographs on this in this product. The hobby boxes go for between $230 and $250 a box, depending on where you find it. These are reselling like crazy. Again, you're looking for these incredible parallels, the Helix 1-of-1s. There's a lot of huge cards in there. Ellie De La Cruz's rookie card, as well as some really, Skeens is in here. Paul Skeens, who is the hottest player in MLB at the moment. Incredible checklist. And then don't forget also, for those of you that don't feel like the $230 to $250 is the right price range for you, 2024 Donruss Baseball happened to come out the same exact time. It does retail for between $145 and $160 a box. I think we have it on our shelves at $149 at the moment, subject to change, but $149. It comes with 3 either autographs or memorabilia cards per box, and Paul Skeens autographs are in that product as well. Don't forget they have Optic, which is a subset inside of the Donruss boxes as well, and those subsets have even the Black Finite 1-of-1s. Really, really beautiful cards. Although they don't have the licensing for the teams, they do have the names and they have the Players Association cards there. So that's pretty much what I wanted to convey this time around.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yes,
we got
Nate.
a couple minutes here. It's your show, right? But I want to know what you think. Did you watch Summer League at all? You paying attention to Summer League?
I did.
Anyone stick out to you? What sticks out to you, if anything?
I watched a lot of the Bronny stuff.
Yeah.
And that poor kid has so much pressure on him that, that's tough. I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to be a nice rotational player for his career.
Yeah.
I think he's a rotational player for his career. I think that he may end up being a starter at one day, but he's too small as far as height is concerned, and his defense is lacking. But he's going to be a strong rotational player. I like Dalton Connect. I watched that in the Lakers.
Bronny hit that clutch 3 the other day. I think that was his first 3 too. It was something.
You did it.
Something. Have you seen the stat comparing him to Jaylen Brown?
Yeah.
It's a little silly.
Yeah. You could compare anybody to anything.
Yeah.
And then the other, as far as the Kings are concerned, I was really, really very pleasantly surprised about Keon Clark. He played really well. Keon Ellis. I always say Clark, and I definitely don't mean Clark.
Yeah.
I mean Ellis. Keon Ellis.
Boogie Ellis is,
Is he going by that now?
No, there's a Boogie Ellis.
There's a Boogie Ellis.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I enjoy Keon. I think he's playing really well. I think he's going to be a strong rotational player. I hope that he's the first person off the bench. Him and Herter, I think, should be great bench players. Although I'm not convinced that Monk will want to go into the starting lineup because he's going to get his 30 minutes no matter what.
Yeah.
And just having that secondary spark off the bench. But if Keon goes to what he said, look, before I was at Alabama, I was a scorer. This is what I did. And I was asked to be somebody who was more of a transitional defensive player. And I really enjoyed that too. There's some really great players still available out there. I'm actually surprised the Kings haven't touched. My pick of Mo Bamba was picked up. Darn. But they all laughed at me on Rise Guys.
I know.
Drive Guys, excuse me.
Whitey doesn't agree with me on this, but I don't think Keon should have even been playing in the Summer League.
We're watching. Was a little unique.
Yeah, we're working. We do the show here 10 to 2, and we're literally watching the Kings Summer League today. I think it was Thursday. And we're watching Keon get his legs dove at, and it's like, dude, I do not want this guy to get hurt. This guy is one of our 8, like an important piece of our 8.
And if you think about this too, there was a draft pick. I can't remember. It was a first round draft pick that actually had their ACL torn. Or am I thinking of football? Anyways, the point
look at Chet Holmgren's first year.
Yeah.
He had his foot stepped. I know he's, 100 pounds and 7 feet tall, but still he didn't get a chance.
I think the unique part about this is that when you're playing in Summer League, you're playing in preseason, whether it's football or basketball, you've got guys that are on their last chance. They're playing every way that they possibly can. And they're just one of those things where it's a little dangerous to play. But, when you love basketball like Keon does, you don't want to stop the guy if he wants to play. Hey, guys, it's been a pleasure. The team will be back here hosting the True Sports Card Show next Saturday at 10 a.m. I will be in Cleveland, Ohio, of all places. I will be calling in. We'll talk about the National, among other things. You'll see Shep and Emil along with Nate next week here on the True Sports Card Show. For today, it's Emran Pilati. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for Rob Veras for tuning in as well. You guys are great. We'll see you next week. Thanks.